guys, welcome back to the show. Happy Thursday, December 7th. We're going to dive right into Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers, do the Jets want him to be there, and does he want to be on the field? And before I do that, let me introduce you again to our new co-host, the founder of My NIL Pay. Guys, welcome, Brent Chapman.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Brandon. Day 2 of what is to be hopefully like Mike and Mike 10 years or something, right?
Listen, I know you got the big green on right now, so you're based in Texas, and I want to know, are you a Jets fan now? What's going on? Zach Wilson having a lot of problems, a lot of struggles on and off the field now because people are saying, look, Zach Wilson, he's only playing because Aaron Rodgers was hurt. He gets on the field, he gets benched again, and now people are like, listen, is he going to play or not? If I was him, I wouldn't want to be on the field either at this point. I mean, you have an opportunity. You're making money. Yeah, you're getting paid. But who's actually behind you? Who's supporting you in an event that you only play, if someone's hurt or, hey, look, crap, we don't have anybody right now. Let's throw Zach Wilson in the game.
Yeah, I think it's a concern when a player doesn't want to play. I mean, you played at an incredibly high level, and you can probably give more insight into that, right? But I think that you're standing there with 21 other guys you got to go to battle with, and the guy's like, yeah, I don't really want to play. That's not great, right? And so, but is that even what really happened? I don't think we know, right? I mean, there seems to be, when you're dealing with the New York media, you get so much different opinion. You don't really know what's true. Do I believe that somebody at Zach Wilson's level doesn't want to play? That just doesn't sound right to me. But if it's true,
it's tough to hear.
If it's true, then that guy's just got to go, bro.
It's really tough to hear. When I'm looking at, a lot of this stuff, obviously people are like, does he really want to play? Does he not want to play? This is a big part of his career. I mean, does the coach want you there? Does the organization want you there? This, what I would say, would be one of the most important pictures or part of your success is, do they believe in me? Do they want me to be here? And I got to tell you, watching Zach Wilson step into the game, and I thought, with Aaron Rodgers coming, maybe it would help him mold. Maybe it would help him grow and say, look, I can sit back, I can learn something from him. When I pull up a lot of these videos, Brent, and I watch this guy, he shows that he does have ability. I mean, he makes plays. He can scramble with his legs. He's done it in college. He's done it at the pro level. But in order to be successful for the New York Jets in a big market, like you just said, you got to have the organization. You got to have the fan base. And you just got to have your own, personal motivation and team morale. Because these players on the team are probably going, who's going to be under center when we line up? Who's going to be there, in fact, when there's an opportunity, to step on the field?
Yeah, I would say, to answer your very first question, yeah, I don't think they want him there. If they wanted him, they would not have played Ring Around the Rosie with Aaron Rodgers for 9 months, right? I mean, I think it's incredibly clear to us that they don't want him or didn't want him to be the starting quarterback in 2023. They signed Aaron Rodgers. That answers
that hurt. I know that hurt. That hurt his pride because listen, it's Aaron Rodgers though, right? It's not like, hey, we drafted a quarterback to replace you, right? A lot of quarterbacks,
but it doesn't matter who it is. The point is they went out and actively courted some other player to come in and play there. That's the point. He isn't their guy. Clearly, they drafted him 2 years ago.
When I think about what you just said, I would like to think, and that's why I'm conscious about this right now, because now that you just said that again, I'm like, I understand it's Aaron Rodgers. You're bringing in, not that he's Tom Brady, but you're bringing in Tom Brady. You're bringing in another quarterback. You take a back seat. Some people could say, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's that. But the reality is, like you just said, you're not the guy. You're the guy watching, and you might play. And if you're brought in and you're a backup quarterback, that's okay. You know your role.
Yeah, that's fine.
But when you're the starter and you're the guy and everyone has your jersey on, right? And all of a sudden you're like,
you are drafted number 2 overall. That's not like I'm 5th round and I got in the league and I worked my way up and I'm okay if I start or I don't start. No, you were drafted number 2 overall by the Jets.
That's a big deal. And you know what? Before before this season starts, the morale heading into New York, look, I'm from Jersey, lived in New York, Northeast guy, live in Miami, right? You're based in Texas. We can see this global market because the New York media is so strong, but the reality is Aaron Rodgers was the guy. Aaron Rodgers showed up. He was the guy people wanted to see. He was the guy people obviously are paying lots of money to be there. All these other players are trading for. They're probably telling them, we're getting Aaron Rodgers. Like, you better show up. This team is going to be the real deal. And if you're not watching the Jets, or if you are a fan, it's time to come back. This is going to change. But then here's what happens, Brent. This is the reality. Okay, game one, first quarter, barely even seeing any of Jets interaction. How are they going to be? Here comes, welcome to the show. Welcome to the game. Welcome to New York, guys. Here is Aaron Rodgers. Bang. Down right now. What do you think about that? What do you think about the injury?
Well, you did mention I'm based in Texas, but I am a Buffalo Bills fan. I was originally born in Western New York. So I'm actually well aware of the Jets and their history of futility, and we lived that for a good 18 years straight as well. But obviously, watching that game, shocked when Aaron Rodgers went down. Nobody wants to be in that situation. Clearly, they passed on you, Zach Wilson. They didn't want you to be their quarterback. Now they're stuck with you, right? Not a great situation to be in. But the reality is, this is where they're at, and they should play their number 2 overall pick to see if he's there. So my question for you, though, is, does Aaron Rodgers actually try to come back? And how crazy is that? Like, that injury is not like a 3-month and I'm back injury. That's like a year I'm out.
There's a concern right now, because here's the real concern that I have. And to answer your question, it is, okay, how does he do that, right? How does someone come back from that kind of injury so fast, superhuman, the right doctors? What are you doing at your age, first of all? And he's not old by any stretch, but for the NFL, he is. How does he do that? And the second thing is, a lot of people now are like, there's no way this was the real Achilles tear. This wasn't as bad as projected. But, then people go into, well, everything's fixed. That's not true. This is a whole nother segment. Is sports real? Is the NFL real? I know sports to be real. I know football in college to be real. Have people approached you, hey, if you fumble the opening kickoff? I was a kick returner. I played running back for Pitt. I started as a freshman, at kick returner. Here's the thing. If you catch the ball, you fumble the ball, we'll pay you $10,000. Why? Because somebody's betting on the spread. Somebody's betting on the first quarter. Somebody's betting on who's going to score first. If you're the kick returner and you fumble the opening kickoff, you know who's going to score first, regardless if it's a field goal or not. So, when you're looking at this, people are starting to question, is the NFL real? Is it rigged? Is it fixed? Like I said, whole other segment, but the truth is, how he can come back so fast with his doctors. You've seen him on the show. You've seen him on the Pat McAfee show saying, look, I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm coming back. Will he come back? Would he come back if, in fact, they made it to the playoffs? Is it smart if you want to keep him for a few more years?
Yeah, so I think he's an idiot to come back, frankly. I'm about Aaron Rodgers' age, and that's like an 11-year injury for me, right? Like, I don't know what he's thinking, right? He's not superhuman. He is human. So I would say the best thing for him to do is, the Jets aren't good anyways. They're not going to beat out the Bills. They're not going to beat out the Dolphins. I mean,
look, I know you're a Bills fan. And I got to tell you, in the beginning of the season, I'm like, Jets have potential. Aaron Rodgers goes down.
I was nervous.
I don't think they're going to beat the Jets, or beat the Bills, sorry. But now the Bills have been on another topic, a roller coaster of a season that I haven't seen, almost like the Dolphins, kind of like, are you good or are you not good? Dolphins have proven to be good. But this year, I believe the Bills had opportunities to come in and play well, but the Jets are like, look, we could beat the Bills. With Aaron Rodgers, there was a lot of question that the Jets could have been really good this season.
Hey, I got a topic for tomorrow's show. I think we've got the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. We got Dallas versus Philly and Buffalo versus Kansas City. There you go. There's your championship game.
You know, here's what I want to say, though. And before I go into the other quarterbacks, because I want to talk about the backup quarterbacks, what's going on in the NFL, why they're like, oh, we have a backup, we're not going to play good. I made clips on this. If you're the backup quarterback, you're getting paid millions of dollars typically. You are good. You were good in college, right? Before that, high school, college. You're a pro player. Get your ass in the game and play like a pro. I'm not saying you're going to be Aaron Rodgers the first day, the first snap. You go to practice. You work on timing. And if you don't, get that receiver after practice. Hey, look, I need 10 reps. I got to work on my out route, my in route, my post route, my fly. You got to work on that. Because you can't come in as a backup and everyone's like, oh, you know what? The team's going to be trash now. We're going to be trash. We have a backup. And that leads us into the topic and conversation with the quarterbacks is Joe Flacco is playing for the Browns. Listen, I played with Joe Flacco at Pitt. We transferred together. I literally went to Delaware. Pitt would not release me. We had a coaching change. Pitt was great. Had a blast at Pitt. But we had a coaching change. A lot of transitions were happening. I wasn't comfortable with the whole opportunity. I wanted to go play somewhere else. They wouldn't let me go to any team. I'm not saying this because of media. I'm going to tell my story live so people understand what happened to me in high school and college. I'm going to explain that. But the reality is I was leaving Pittsburgh, and they wouldn't release me anywhere. I was at Delaware, literally with Joe Flacco, near the stadium, living across from the stadium. I was trying to crash on the couch to get, about a month until I got my own place in Delaware. The answer from Pitt was no, we're not releasing you to Delaware. So I'm going, okay, I'm stranded here. I'm stranded. I have nowhere to play. I'm in college. I'm 20 years old. I don't even know the reality of business or the sports business or why on earth can I go? Like, who the hell was controlling my destiny right now? And I could not go anywhere. And this is a true story. Went to Carolina, visited the team, visited the coaching staff. Hoping anybody in trouble right now. I was there, and it was like, yeah, we're going to give you a scholarship. But Pitt has to release you here, right? And so I ended up going to Stony Brook, which was nuts. I mean, I had a great time. Very thankful for the opportunity. But it downgraded my whole future of football. Coming out to 50, 60, 70,000 people playing in bowl games versus playing against Central Connecticut State, right? Maine. Nothing against these teams. Again, very appreciative of the opportunity, but changed the whole situation. So Joe Flacco leaves Delaware, was not going to play at Pitt. They said he would never play it down here. That was the message. I'm dead serious in a meeting. You will never play it down here, Joe Flacco. Goes to Delaware, first round. And we're not talking 6'4", 6'3". We're talking 6'5", 6'6". The man is a specimen, and now he is on the Browns.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that story. I think it's important for people to hear that because that is why they went to and they instituted a transfer portal. But unfortunately, there was a lot of rubble left in the impact of that, right? Like that's really unfair what happened to you, but it wasn't just you, unfortunately. That happened time and time, hundreds of athletes every year that happened to. So about Joe Flacco wasn't good when Joe Flacco was good, right? He was just a big young kid who could throw the ball really hard, and he didn't really recognize defenses very well. That's why he was never going to play at Pitt, right? He just wasn't. He just had that physical ability, but could never really make that. Now people are going to say, "Oh, he won a Super Bowl and all that." Well, dude, the Ravens defense was pretty good when he won a Super Bowl. I mean, and the coaching staff like that.
I'll give
Trent
you
Dilfer
that.
won a Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah, and listen, what you said about reading defenses, when I was at Pitt, we had Tyler Palko at quarterback position. I was coming in as a freshman. These guys were like laser focused. When I tell you I was ready to go, focused, came from a great football sports town in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, which we'll get there again at another time and do a live topic on that. I want to talk to you about the football programs and stuff there. But when I got to Pitt, it was like, listen, my quarterback's like a coach, literally. Tyler Palko didn't take any shit, and he was a great player. He was a role model. And, the guy showed up on time. He was in all the coaches' meetings. I mean, he did even the conditioning. The guy was in the top. I mean, this was great to see. He was a leader of the team. And I agree with you. Even though Joe Flacco had talent, I don't think he was ready to take on that role. And Palko was also from that area, and he kind of ran the show. But I mean, when I look at these two quarterbacks, and I want to get your take on this, he shows signs of talent, signs of light. Can they savior Zach Wilson? He's playing this week regardless. So whether he wants to play or not, if they believe in him or don't believe in him, the question is, do you see signs of light in him? Because I do. And can he even remotely become the guy in New York?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that you got to be fair to Zach Wilson, right? The guy, really played one season in college, threw for 3,800 yards and 36 touchdowns against teams like Troy and Louisiana Tech and Texas State and Western Kentucky. Coastal Carolina was the highest ranked team he played that year. So, I mean, he just really doesn't have a lot of experience. He goes number 2 overall, which means you got to go right in and play. There's a lot of pressure on you. That was only 2 or 3 years ago anyways also. So it's kind of like, I think that the more reps he gets, the more opportunity he'll have. And, we saw it with Geno Smith, another great Jets draft pick, right? Geno Smith, he wasn't ready either, but now look at him, man. He's not going to be Tom Brady, but dang, if he isn't a really good sort of starting quarterback in the league. So, I think Zach Wilson can get there? I just think putting pressure on these kids that played against freaking Western Kentucky to come play against, the top players in the world is unfair, and they need time. Remember in the old days, bro? Those quarterbacks would sit on the bench. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 4 years.
Yeah, this is true. But, Geno Smith, so I was at Bommarito Sports training with Geno Smith, for a while, before the draft, everything. So I understand, and I saw his personality, and I agree with you. He needed to grow. And as a quarterback, especially, a lot of players and a lot of positions, but as a quarterback especially, you have to be in the right program, right? As an offensive lineman, as a defensive lineman, as a corner, as a safety, you can kind of play a lot of places. As a running back, you better be a little, careful where you play. Receiver, what kind of offense are we in? Are we in a spread? Are we in a bubble screen team? Are we playing for Oregon? Are we playing for Nebraska? Now, are we a big powerhouse running team? A lot of people are like, look, that opens up play action, right? That's great for the receiver. But as a quarterback, you better choose wisely. And in the draft, everybody wants to make money. So, I see the signs of him. I see him playing. I see him doing a good job. And I love the fact that he creates opportunities with his legs. Because in the NFL right now, pocket passers will last longer. I like guys, some people love him or hate him. Joe Burrow, I think he's playing well. I think now that he's hurt, that's another conversation. But players like that play for a long time as a pocket passer. Tom Brady, the most unathletic. Peyton Manning, the most unathletic. But they played for years because they weren't scrambling. But guys that sell tickets, which they did they did sell tickets, but the guys that are selling now are players, like I would like to say, Lamar Jackson, putting butts in seats. Jalen Hurts, putting butts in seats because they're entertaining. They run, they pass, they command respect. Unfortunately, the Eagles got exposed, by the 49ers, which is a whole other conversation. But, will
How good
Aaron
are the
Rodgers
Bills?
come
They
back?
got exposed by the Bills. The Bills should have beat them, right?
You know what? I know you're a Bills fan, so I'll throw that out there too. but
But are the Bills good or not? I don't think anyone knows, but they basically beat the Eagles. So I don't know.
So what's going on here? The relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson. You know, I'd like to say he's like a, you know, not a father figure, but he's a big brother. He's a mentor. He's someone that, as a quarterback getting to a program, there's nothing wrong, which, by the way, this picture looks a little off to me. Aaron Rodgers looks a little dazed and confused. But that's another conversation. So, you know, I happen to think, you know, that these players together are actually better than I thought. I mean, maybe Zach Wilson does respond well to Aaron Rodgers' critique. You know, maybe he does listen to him, because after watching some of his interviews and what he was saying, he was sticking up for him left and right, saying the sources that are downplaying Zach Wilson, the sources that are saying that, you know, he doesn't want to play, he doesn't want to be here. Aaron Rodgers stated very blatantly that these sources are incorrect, and he's upset about what's going on in the organization. And he says, look, this guy's a great guy. He likes Zach Wilson, and I think that he believes that he can be a quarterback one day, if not for the Jets, possibly somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that the relationship with Rodgers, ideally they were supposed to play together for 2 or 3 years, and then maybe Zach Wilson takes over at that point, right after learning under Rodgers. And unfortunately, that got sped up to 4 plays, not 3 years. You know,
I
so
mean, this, but back to this injury, okay? All year long, starting quarterbacks are going out, right? I mean, quarterback after quarterback. You got the Browns, Flacco's there, right? Then you got
guys like Tommy DeVito starting at quarterback, right? Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jake Browning, Aiden O'Connell, Will Levis. I mean,
who are these people?
It
and
sounds
where
like
did
the
they
guys
come from?
fixing.
This isn't.
It sounds like the guys fixing my roof. I mean, who are these guys?
Listen, I'm not bashing any of these players. If they're playing in the NFL, great. First string, second string, backup, mascot, whatever you are, you're on the field. I love sports. You love sports. I like you now. But these names are not people like, oh yeah, I know him. He played at USC, or I know him. He played for Penn State. Or I know. These guys are stepping in and playing.
Do you know where Tommy DeVito went to college? No, I don't even know who he is.
When you say the name, no disrespect to Tommy DeVito, love to have you on the show and talk about what you're doing. But if you said who that, I'm like, who does he play for now? Like, people don't even know who that is. So more respect to him, and hopefully we can build his morale. We'd love to see him do great. But now that Trevor Lawrence is down, right? He's down for X amount of weeks, high ankle sprain. I had one at the Nebraska game on an onside kick. Actually, Darrelle Revis recovered the kick. I come down, hit a guy. I have a high ankle sprain now. I'm out for several weeks, and I had to get shots before the game. You know, this happens. And then when I was at Stony Brook, I had to get a shot at halftime, you know, and also before the game because I couldn't balance on one foot. And this is the truth. So at the end of the day, when we look at these quarterbacks coming in, we don't know their names. We don't know where they kind of came from or how they jumped into the mix, but they're starting. Can the Jaguars get to the playoffs now and play well until Trevor Lawrence comes in, or lose home field advantage?
The thing that I like about it as a fan of the NFL is to see these guys get an opportunity to play. Like, I think I'm making fun that I've never heard of their names, right? And what colleges did they go to? But it is always fun to watch the underdog come in and play and have a guy like that, you know, walk the team down and win the game, right? And you cheer for those guys. Like, I remember when this guy bagging groceries had to go play for the Rams because Trent Green went out and the Mark Balger was out. And so they put in this grocery bagger named Kurt Warner. And he threw 300 yards in his first 5 games.
Out of nowhere.
Like, who is this guy?
And we talked about backup quarterbacks. We made the conversation. And again, if you're watching this for the first time, Brent, the co-host of the show here you're listening to, is the founder of My NIL Pay. So he handles college sports. The biggest thing is that he's looking out for the health and well-being of these guys to have opportunities to grow, blossom. No matter what sport you play, you have an opportunity to get paid, make a living while you're in college, go buy yourself some extra groceries, whatever you want to do. But we are talking about backups for the moment in the NFL. And let's not forget, we brought this up. Jalen Hurts was the starter for Alabama. He didn't get hurt and go out. He got benched for Tua. And we're talking the best, arguably one of the best universities in the history of all time with Nick Saban. So, yeah, the backups are going to be talented, which you've seen with several quarterbacks over the years. The only one right now that's kind of sluggish and slacking would be Mac Jones, which is a whole nother topic because now he has a backup in the game. So now Mac Jones is like, where the hell am I going? So is it because?
By the way, another great name I've never heard of, Bailey Zappi. Like, you can't make these names up. Key and Peele, like the NFL's giving Key and Peele a run for their money on these backup quarterbacks.
I mean, but what's crazy, and you said this, Brent, is true, but it's like, look, players like Geno Smith, players like Zach Wilson, players right now, like Mac Jones, who are a backup, you're benched. Your morale, I'm not going to say it's gone, but your morale is awfully low when, hey, I'm in the game. I'm the man. I was in college. I was doing it. Everybody loved me. My jerseys are in the store. I show up. I'm in the stadium in the NFL. Look at me. I'm doing it. And then now you're a backup quarterback, but everybody's like, look, what's going on? Your family, your relationships, your girlfriend, your wife, or whatever is like, whoa, you're the man here in New England for the Patriots. Playing at Foxborough, you're the guy at Gillette Stadium that we want to see you come out. You're the guy. And now you're a backup. Do these guys say, look, okay, I'm ready to go somewhere else. I want to go play for a team that wants me. Or do they say, look, I'm going to have to just buy my time now. Your agent has to give you some kind of advice who's seen this years in and year out. What will Mac Jones do? What will these backup quarterbacks do? What's the thought process on them? Before we wrap it up, what is the thought process that you believe for backup quarterbacks when you just get benched during the season?
Yeah, because of obviously what I do for a living, I have access to a lot of NFL agents, right? And so really what their goal is in a situation like this is to get their client in a situation where he has a chance to compete and an opportunity to play for the job, right? So if you're a free agent quarterback this year and Buffalo calls and Tampa calls, where are you going to, the agent's going to say, hey, you should go to Tampa because you have a chance to compete potentially against Baker Mayfield, right? You're not going to compete against Josh Allen. He's got the job. You might be competing for the number 2. So the mindset here is, and this is like at all levels, right? Especially at the professional, like you want reps, you want an opportunity to compete. There's only 32 starting quarterback jobs. So go somewhere where you can compete. And if you can't, then go get the best backup job you can get. Kind of like Zach Wilson behind Aaron Rodgers. At least then you're going to learn, and that guy's older and a veteran and might move on in the future, right? So these are the type of situations that you want to get yourself in. It's either have a chance to compete and play, or really have a situation where you can learn and grow and then have a chance and compete to play on your next contract.
Listen, Brent, I'm so glad to have you on the show. I know we have to wrap it up. I know we're 10 to 10:30-ish at the moment. We will eventually expand to 10 to 11. So glad to have you again. Your insight, guys, Brent Chapman, my NALP. Thanks for having you again.
Thanks, Brandon.
And so, guys, as you see this, it's kind of hard to understand. But yeah, Zach Wilson is like, do I come in or do I not play? Does people want me? What's the real situation? A lot of backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now are looking around going, where am I going to play? And a lot of it, I think, is coming down to the fact that the NFL is what have you done for me lately? And I've been saying this. It's what have you done for me lately? If you're not winning right now, we got to move on. We got to look. So it's very short-lived. You're not seeing the same jersey riding around for years and staying on that, organization long anymore. But I will tell you this, guys. I thank all of you for watching. Again, we invited a few people into the show. More than happy to have you and thankful every day. Tune in, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching.